can you upgrade the Grand Archive deck with nothing but bulk cards? That is the question we like to answer in this series. And after finishing Dawn of Ashes, it's only natural to go to Fractured Crown. But the different thing is, Fractured Crown is a bit of an outlier because it's a set that's out of print right now. So it's a bit hard to find. But in case you do find this set, here are the cards you can get for very cheap. So just a disclaimer, as always, this is not a series for everyone. It's mostly for people who are either new to the game, who don't want to invest so much into expensive cards, and want to test the game and upgrade their decks in a measured manner, budget manner, whereas you have to break the bank, just to see if they like the game. And if they do, they can go obviously much deeper into the whole game. Second, as you know, not everybody has access to single cards. Not everybody can order from TCG Player, for example, or sites like that. So with this series, with this list, I want you to be able to make the best of what you have, essentially. Alright, so starting with the Regalia cards, we have Ventus, Staff of Zephyrs. Ventus is a very situational card, let's say. It's very situational. It's mostly played in Razor Gale, which is, you can look it up, Wind Razor Gale. It's basically a Kongming level 1 deck that plays only wind cards, or a majority of wind cards. And it's all focused around the card Razor Gale Calling, which does 1 damage every time a wind card is played to opponent's champion, to a champion, basically. So if you're planning on playing something like Razor Gale, I would pick up Ventus. Next up, we have Arendite, Azure Blade. This is not a card that's really played in the meta. It is sometimes with Onsol, when you play Onsol Lorraine. But if you happen to be playing a Water Allies list with Lorraine, this is not a bad card. I mean, water is the color that has the most floating memory cards in the game. So this card can actually really make the use of that, of those floating memory, to give you a big weapon that can go in for big damage. So if you're playing Water Allies with the Warrior bonus, go for this. Next up, we have Covenant of Thorns. This is a very clutch card with something like Quicksilver Grail. It's played in Terra Kongming, it's played in Sylvie, and the way you usually use this is if the opponent is going for a big damage, they're doing maybe a big attack or a big spell like a big fireball, for example. You use the Quicksilver Grail, you materialize this card, and then you link it to an opponent's ally. That means all the big damage that was going to be directed at your champion is now directed at their ally, which will tank the damage. Either it will perish or it will survive. Either way, you are in a good position. As long as this card is linked to that ally, you will not take any damage. So they either have to fracturize this, sacrifice the ally somehow. It's a very, very cool card. I really believe that this is one of the coolest Terra cards, and it has stood the test of time. It's still played to this day in Terra decks, and it's really good. I would definitely go for this if you're playing a Terra deck, especially with Quicksilver Grail, because they won't always see it coming. Experienced players might, but especially when you're still starting, it can catch new players off guard. Next up, we have Windwalker Boots. Again, we have a limited card in application. This is an assassin card primarily, and it's mostly used in Tristan. Could be used in Xander, but it's not as ideal because Xander doesn't really care about trap as much. Whereas Tristan, in the early game, she will rarely attack. That means she's going to be awake the whole turn. You're going to pass so many turns where she's awake. When you have this card, it means that at the end of every turn, you're going to be generating 1 prep counter, and 1 more, and 1 more, and 1 more. And this stacks up until you're able to do the big attacks with Slice and Dice, or Shadow Strike, for example, and you would have accumulated counters by then. Or if you feel like you're not able to seal the game, you can stay on this card, keep generating prep counters, and when you need to, you can just banish it if you have 5 or more prep counters and draw, which is really good. I mean, it pushes your strategy and it gives you a draw. I mean, it doesn't get better than this, you know. So definitely, if you're playing Wind Tristan, go for this card. Next up, we have Wand of Frost. Now, this is a card that can be played in any water deck, but ideally you want to play it in Cleric or Mage decks because of the class bonus, because you get an on-enter draw effect, which means that the card pays for itself. So in the instance of something like Tristan, if they're going for a Slice and Dice and you do this, you can reduce their attack. They will do 3 less on the first attack and 3 less on the second attack. And if they don't have a weapon and you do this to them, their first attack never connects, because Slice and Dice does 3, then 6. So you prevent the first 3, and then they don't even get the second effect, even if it's prepared. Obviously, this is very telegraphed if you're playing like this, but again, if you put under something like Quicksilver Grail, it can catch someone by surprise. So this is a good card. It can also used if you're trying to protect a certain ally, a taunter or something that you want to keep alive. This can protect them. So this is a good card. It's a really solid defensive card. Next we have Radiant Protective Trinket. This is a universal water hate card, in that if there's a lot of water in the meta, you can see people either main or side this, because this reduces the main gimmick of water, which is interaction. Water loves to hold cards in their hand and negate your stuff and prevent attacks and do stuff in your turn. So when you play this, every water card they play in your turn costs 2 extra. So that's really phenomenal. It can really hinder their strategy. It can really hinder the interaction. You can feel safer when you're playing cards. Next we have Tithe Proclamation. Now this is a very situational card, very conditional card. It used to be played mostly against Dry in the past because they draw a lot every turn, and this would hinder them to drawing only 3 times a turn, including the draw phase. So draw phase, draw, draw. So they're only limited to 2 additional draws beyond their draw phase. So, but currently it's not played, it hasn't been played for a long time because it's a bit telegraphed, and it's just, people can play around it. They can sequence their draws to happen in your turn, and it's not an amazing card, but it can come in clutch sometimes. So I would say that if you have access to this card, consider it, especially against something like Rai, against something like Razorgate, for example. They love to draw a lot. So consider this card, and it's a good card to have in your collection binder. In the scenario that comes up, you can play it. Now on to another warrior weapon. We have Fire Tongue. Fire Tongue is not an outstanding card, but it's a solid card. It's a sword that keeps paying for itself, basically. As long as you have fire card in your grave, whenever you attack, you banish a fire card, you replenish durability counter as if you haven't used it. So you have a recurring 2-power sword that you can attack with every turn. Again, in a low power format, this is really solid. And when you combine it with attack cards, it can hit for big damage or decent medium, let's say medium level damage. And yeah, if you're playing a Fire Lorraine deck, for example, why not play this? It's decent as an entry level card, let's say. Next up, we have Beast Soul Visage. This is again another peculiar card. It didn't really see play in the past until the Vanitas Taxes and Horses played it. What is Vanitas Taxes and Horses? It's a nightmare. I'll let you Google it yourself. But long story short, you can use this as a interaction piece. How? So let's say the opponent is still on level 1 or level 2. They have a big ally that they're threatening you with. You bring this out, you link it to their ally. Sure, they get 2 power, but they also get Pride 3, which means unless they're level 3, they can't really attack with this card. So in that sense, it can stop the opponent's cards, or you can give it to your cards. Again, in Vanitas, when you have a horse, for example, a Dilu, for example, and you give this to Dilu, he gets +2 power and has Pride 3, but he doesn't care about Pride 3 because you're already level 3. So this is the versatility of this card. It can be used to slow the opponent down or to advance your strategy. So in that sense, it's cool, but again, it's very niche. It's very niche. Another niche card, we have Broken Soul Knife. This is an assassin card, and it's kind of like a Mercenary's Blade, where instead of paying a prep to bring it out from material deck, activate it basically, you pay 3 fire cards to bring it out. But the cool thing is when it destroys something, it can come back to the material deck. So you can keep looping it this way. Or you can use it with something like Pendragon, for example. Let's say you're playing the new Assassin Merlin in a fire configuration, and you banish 3 fire cards, bring this out from your material deck, you play a Pendragon, return it, draw 2, may have more fire cards in grave, banish 3 more, bring it out, use another Pendragon. It's a similar strategy to Mercenary's Blade, but Mercenary's Blade is obviously less commitment. You just remove 1 prep and bring it out. But it's kind of that mentality. So in case Mercenary's Blade gets banned, this could maybe be a substitute. I mean, again, it's a cool card, but it hasn't been really used as of late. But I would pick it up if you can, because it's a cool card and it's an SR for $1, so $1 or less, so why not? And now we move to main deck cards, and thankfully this time it's not just fire and wind cards. We have a variety of elements, so all kind of decks can benefit. First off, we have Displace. Displace is a card that has really begun to shine now in something like Wind Serio, where you can use this on a Dungeon Guide, you can use this on a Baby Green Slime, on allies that have on-enter effects. Because what this does is it blinks them, but unlike suppressing, which banishes the card and brings it back in the end phase, this happens immediately. It's banished, comes back, but comes back rested. That means if you have a dungeon guide and you're digging for another dungeon guide, you're not able to find one, you can reuse the same dungeon guide, and it's fast activation. So you play this quickly, and then dungeon guide leaves, enters again, triggers again. Amazing. You used the same dungeon guide twice. Something like again, baby green slime. You brought it out, you suppressed something, do this, suppress another thing. Dream Fairy, same thing. Bring out Dream Fairy, but put an ally in the opponent's memory, displace it, do it again. So let's say they have the opponent has a Serio or any Shenju ally. You bring out the first Dream Fairy, they're going to negate the targeting with their lineage release of the level 2 Goja. You displace, you banish the Dream Fairy, comes back, and then you just target the Shenju ally again. But now they have nothing to lineage release anymore. That means with 2 cards, you outed a Shenju ally that they've been building towards the entire game. And usually when you do this and succeed in fulfilling this, it's gone for good. So Wind, once again, shows us its power as the peak of versatility. And this is one of the reasons I love Wind. Even though it's not my favorite, I prefer Water. Wind is unmatched in this regard. Next, we have Fast Cure. So Fast Cure is an all-around staple in any deck that wants to go to level 3 for the most part. I would say 70% of decks that want to go to level 3 play this because they're slower to catch up to their game strategy, which means that they will take more damage usually on the uptake. So as they take more damage in the game and banish cards to go to higher levels, first off, their influence is going to decrease and they're going to be tanking a lot of damage. This remedies both. First up, you heal if your influence is less than the opponent, and secondly, you have a floating memory which you can use. And with things like Creative Shock, with Hasty Messenger, with cards like that, you can really cycle and keep floats that's really accessible. And again, it's a 2 cost, so you can either heal and have a float, or you can just discard it for the float. So it remains a staple in level 3 decks. And if you're playing something like maybe you bought a Jin starter deck, or you bought a Rai starter deck, Lorraine starter deck, this card, slot in 4 copies of this card, and it's going to make a world of difference for you. Then in line with Fast Cure, we have another card that's kind of a norm staple for floating memory, Gentle Respite. It's a card that was good, but only became better with the new rules. The new rules where you both bring out your spirits at the same time. And if you're playing something like a Serene Spirit, where you will have 6 cards as opposed to the opponent's 7 cards if they're playing a standard spirit, that means your Gentle Respite is live usually from turn 1 if you're going first. You bring this out, you draw a card, you get a float. It's a 0 commitment almost, net even card that technically is a +1 because you're getting a free float. So in decks like Arsana, in decks that use Fragmented Spirit, for example, this is a really good card. It's a really, really good card. And I'm really happy that it got the buff it did from the new rules. So again, if you're playing a level 3 deck and you're looking for quality floating memory, this is the card to consider. And the hits keep coming. Next, we have Resolute Stand, another all-star staple that's especially really good in decks that go to level 2 or higher, because it has an alternate cost, where if you're level 2 or higher, you play it for 0 cost, but you don't draw in your draw phase, in your upcoming draw phase. And this might be a desperate play, but it can be a play that can save you. And sometimes you don't really need the draw, you just need to survive, because you're going to go and defeat the opponent on the next turn. So Resolute Stand is fantastic. It's really good, especially against decks that go wide. It can really blank an entire turn. So this is a card that's either played in the main deck or the side deck, depending on what's meta in the format. So if there's a lot of allies in the format, you can play this in the main, for example. You can play 2 or 3, even 4 if you're really a slow deck and really need defenses. But I would suggest 3. 3 is a good number. Next, we have Scatter Essence, where Wind once again shows us that it is the Swiss knife of Grand Archive, where this deck even has Fantasia removal for 2 costs that is also a float. I mean, this is insane. This is a really good card. This is a really, really good card. If you play against something like Razor Gale, you play against Water Fractals, you play it against the Fertile Grounds that Arsana plays. It's a really solid card, and it's, depending on the format, again, you can main this or side this. Usually you would side this. So, piece of advice, always respect Fantasia and Fractal decks, because they will take you by surprise. And as my own personal advice, I always keep 3 of this in my side deck if I'm playing a wind deck, because you don't want to get blown up by a water fractal deck, by a razor gale deck, etc. So this is a really good staple card to have in your binder and in your collection, and you can't really go wrong with it. And finally, our first water card in this series, Frostbind. This is the first kind of negate card that we got in the game, our first counter spell, so to speak. And it's very simple. Pay 2, negate the target card activation unless the opponent pays 2 to not get negated. So usually you want to use this when the opponent has low cards in their hand, little influence, and let's say they have 4 cards in hand. They pay 2, place out something, they have 1 card left in hand, you Frostbind them, they have no cards to pay for the condition of this card where it says you can prevent the negation. That means you got a guaranteed negate of anything. Whereas something like Incapacitate for Assassins only negates action cards. This can negate a Fantasia, it can negate an ally, it can negate an attack card, it can negate anything. So this is kind of the trade-off of playing something like this. However, I would just give you a small warning. Currently, we are in a format where people are drawing a lot of cards. And even in general, recently, we've been drawing a lot of cards in this game. So Frostbind's efficiency and power has kind of dropped down a bit. So I'll just keep that in mind. And against something like Fire Yachan or Fire Aggro, where they want to beat you quickly, Frostbind is good because they will usually go to low influence just to commit everything and just go in for the game. So Frostbind in those cases shines. But yes, it's a conditional card. Keep it, consider it, and out maybe main 2 or 3 depending on the format. Maybe you can side 2 and main 2. Again, depends on what you're playing, where you're playing, what the format is. But Frostbind has been a really solid card for a good reason. Then we have Verucan Acolyte. Verucan Acolyte is very cool because we don't regularly get Regalia Destruction that is tied to an ally. Usually it's something like Reduce to Ash or Fracturize to make something into a Fantasia or Zephyr, but we rarely get destruction on allies. So this could even only be a 3-drop 0/1 that destroys the target Regalia with memory cost 0. Or if you're playing a level 3 deck, a level 3 fire deck, like Merlin for example, this becomes a 3/1. So not only are you paying 3 and destroying something, but you're also getting an ally for that has 3 power. That's nothing to scoff at, to be honest. And given how so many important Regalia cards nowadays have Spell Shroud, this circumvents that. So for example, you're going up against Water Diana. They bring out Aqua Mirage Whisper. That has Spell Shroud, and that's a really powerful weapon. You really want to get rid of it as soon as possible. Pay 3, bring this out, it's gone. It's gone. Simple as that. So this is a really good card and it's not been reprinted yet. So I would definitely pick up this card if I can find it. Another floating memory staple, Stalwart Shieldmate. This is again a really solid defensive option that pays you back with float, especially in the early game. Again, decks don't go to level 3. They need to be defensive at the beginning of the game. They need floating memory. This serves both purposes. Same as Fast Cure. You just bring this out. It can protect you for a bit, and then it gives you floating memory. 4-off, instance 4-off in decks. Again, Fire Lorraine, Fire Merlin, decks like that. You can play this Stalwart Shieldmate, and regardless of the element, it's a norm, obviously. And it does its job. It's a really good card. It's been really good since the beginning of the game. And I would recommend it even till now. Then we have Korhazi Trapper. Again, this is a situational card where it's usually played in either Water Allies or Water Assassin lists, which is not very common. So you'll most likely find this in Water Ally decks. Because of the ability to put a prep counter on your champion and then rest this ally to give something -3 power, it's really good because it can work on champions or it can work on allies. So this can buy you a turn while keeping an ally for you on board. Let's say you have Frostmourne Paladin, 3/4 intercept. It's a really big threat for most decks, so they would usually focus all their attacks on it. If you have Korhazi Trapper, you can, let's say they sink in 1, 1, then 2 to finish it off. You use a Trapper on the second one. Instead of going for 2 damage on your Paladin and destroying it, their attack goes to 0, and then the Paladin survives. That means you have another Paladin for next turn. It survives till next turn. So these are the scenarios where this card really shines. And if you're playing a Water Assassin, which is not very common, but maybe like a Water Xander Mill deck, or the new Merlin deck, the new Assassin Merlin from the Recollection. This is a really good card to have because remember, if you're playing something like Water Merlin, you are really desperate for prep generation. You are really starved for prep generation. So Korhasi Trapper solves that while also giving you survivability. So don't sleep on this card. I think this is a really good card, especially in that deck. And I would pick up 4, definitely. And finally, we have a staple, a Water staple it is amazing. It's an amazing card. And when you read it, all you see is, okay, when the unit is attacking, you play this, you end the combat phase. And if you're a tamer, you can banish a float to pay for this card instead of paying 2. Even better. But how does this card get even better? Let me explain. Let's say an opponent is attacking you with an ally. On the attack, they hold priority and they play a card that says, wake up the attacking ally. That means once this attack resolves, they're going to be able to rest again, attack again. If you do a Song of Frost, it ends the combat phase. That means anything on the stack doesn't get to resolve. It gets banished. So it's a pseudo negate card. It's amazing. Song of Frost is amazing. And if you know how to use it in a skillful manner, even offensively, you will be really surprised. Again, another scenario. Let's say you have a big board of allies. You want to go for a game. All right? You have, let's say, 3 allies. You attack with the first ally. Opponent plays Resolute Stand. If that Resolute Stand would end your turn, you would lose because you cannot defeat the opponent through a Resolute Stand. What do? You Song of Frost your own attack. That means that you attacked, opponent responded to the Resolute Stand, you responded with the Song of Frost, you end the combat phase. The Resolute Stand doesn't resolve because it's on the stack. It gets banished and doesn't resolve. Then you're free to attack the rest of your allies without the fear of Resolute Stand. You still have game. This is the versatility. This is just the peak of the versatility of this card. Song of Frost is amazing. It's one of my favorite water cards. And in the hands of skilled players, it can go so far. So learn the intricacies of this card, practice with it, experiment with it, and it'll take you really far. And that's it. I really hope this was helpful. Fractured Crown is a sleeper set that many of us slept on when it first came out, and people were just never buying this set. It was overprinted, if I'm not mistaken, but you can correct me in the comments. And it stayed on shops' shelves for a long time. But over time, people realized that there are a lot of good staple cards in this set. Expensive, not expensive, really well-rounded set. And if you can still find it, go for it. Thankfully, a lot of the cards on this list have been reprinted, but not all of them have. So find what you can, get what you can, and it will help you significantly. So yes, thank you so much for watching this video. If it helped, I would really appreciate if you could like this or subscribe. So yeah, that's it. See you on the next one.